I love big books and I cannot lie. Those other brothers can't deny. The book walks in with an itty bitty spine and a spinal in your face. That made no sense. Hello everybody, my name is Quinn and welcome to my channel. I hope that you all are having a great day. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about all the books that I read in the month of May. I know this video is a little bit late, but the last book took me a couple days into June to read, but I still wanted to include it in this video because I did read the majority of it in May. So without further ado, these are all the books that I read in the month of May. The first book that I read in the month of May was Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. This story follows Audrey, who has a very severe anxiety disorder. She doesn't really leave the house, she's very uncomfortable talking to people, and she has to wear dark glasses because she doesn't really like eye contact. I had really high hopes for this book because I know that it was a Booksplosion book last year, I believe, and the Booksplosion crew really loved it, and also I was really anticipating reading a book about anxiety because I'd never really read a book about anxiety before, but this book really did not meet the expectations that I had for it. I ended up only giving it a 2.75 out of 5 stars. I know a lot of people really love this book, so I was kind of really disappointed to not like it, but I really did not feel that anxiety was portrayed in a light that I would have liked it to be. And I know that anxiety is a different struggle for everyone, but I feel like Audrey, went through her recovery a little too fast, and that paints an inaccurate picture of what mental illness really is and what people with mental illness really go through. I also really felt uncomfortable that Audrey used the word cured to describe her mental illness because I don't think you're ever really cured from your mental illness. I feel like you are sort of coping with it and dealing with it, but you can't really rewire your brain so that you don't have anxiety, but you can, manage it with medications and therapeutic techniques. But I just was really uncomfortable that she used the word cured, and that sort of took away the believability that this was a accurate portrayal of anxiety, at least for me. Not gonna lie, I almost DNF'd this book because the mother in this book is so annoying. She is one of the most annoying characters I have ever read about. In the first half of the book, it really is sort of overpowered by the mother in the book and how obsessive she is about her son's video game habits. She throws his computer out a window. I don't know, it was way too over the top. It distracted from Audrey's mental illness, and I feel like we could have really developed her mental illness more if we hadn't been focusing so much on the mother in this book. But yeah, I almost DNF'd this book. I just kind of felt mad about it. I don't feel like the mental illness was portrayed to the best of its ability, so I did end up giving this a 2.75 out of 5 stars, as I mentioned previously. The next book that I read in the month of May was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This was one of my most anticipated releases of 2016, and I can say that without a doubt this was my favorite novel so far of 2016. I absolutely loved this book. It was just leaps and bounds better than A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it was just absolutely amazing. The relationship in this novel really takes the time to develop over the course of this, 600-page book. The character development in this book really is what makes this book truly amazing and sets it apart from other books. You do see two characters completely transform from the beginning to the end of the book, and I think that I credit so much praise to Sarah J. Maas for being able to do that. And I also think this book touches on feminism and PTSD in a very accurate and important way that I think that fantasy authors really should touch more on. We get to see so much more of the world in this novel, and it's just such a beautiful world, and I cannot wait for the third book in this series. I also did a full review for this book, which I will link up above and down below, so be sure to go check that out because I do go much more in depth into my, specific thoughts. But if you haven't picked up the series yet, please go do so, and if you kind of were iffy about A Court of Thorns and Roses, just pick up A Court of Mist and Fury because it is just so good, and I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I picked up in the month of May was The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, and this is Morgan Matson's newest release. The story follows Andy, who definitely has a type A sort of personality. She has a plan for everything and kind of knows how she wants her life to go out. That is until her father is being investigated for his involvement in a political scandal, and her father is forced to stay home all summer, which kind of ruins all of Andy's summer plans. Her father and her aren't very close and sort of have to learn how to live and coexist with each other. There's romance, there's some great friendship in this book, and I was really anticipating this book, and I really did enjoy it, but it wasn't my favorite Morgan Matson book. I still think that I much prefer Since You've Been Gone over The Unexpected Everything, just because I feel like the romance wasn't as developed as I would have liked it to be. But I really did enjoy the female friendship in this novel. It's really strong, and the aspect of family was just so well developed, and I think those two relationships were really strong, but the romance I just wasn't really fully into. I also do have a spoiler-free review for this book, so if you haven't read it and want to hear more of my spoilery-free thoughts, I will link that down below as well as up above. But I ended up giving this somewhere between a 3.75 and a 4 stars. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably know what the last book that I read this month was, and that is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. I'm reading one Harry Potter book a month until July, and then I would have read the series for the first time, which is just so exciting. I wasn't expecting to like this book as much as I did. People were like, Gone on Fire is so amazing, and then, Order of the Phoenix is it's good, but it's just not, to the same level. But I really enjoyed this book. I would say that, I don't know if I enjoyed it more than Goblet of Fire, but I still was really enjoyed this book. I love that this book kind of takes a more political look at the wizarding world, and we see so much more of my fave, Neville Longbottom. I think Neville really gets, some good representation in this book. We get a lot of backstory on him. Neville's my favorite character, so I was definitely really happy to see that. Harry is very moody in this book, sometimes to the point where I was just like, get over yourself. All that aside, I really did enjoy this book. I think it was such a great addition to the series. I can't wait to read more of the books, and I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in the month of May. I know there weren't that many, but I just love reading big books. There's so much room to develop a story, and I would really rather much spend my time reading a couple big books than, a lot of really small books. So I'm really happy with everything that I read in the month of May. Please leave a comment down below on what you read in the month of May. I would love to hear it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I will see you next week. Bye guys. The first book that I will be reading in the month of June is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.